उन्मिलितं येन श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथामृतं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदां सहगणा ललिता श्रीशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामो राम हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. I'd like to welcome you all back to our Bhagavad Gita classes. We are right now discussing the introduction to the Mahabharata and just giving you all a brief introduction to the various characters of the Mahabharata as well as the storyline. And then we will be discussing some character analysis of the Mahabharata, and then we'll get into the Bhagavad Gita. So I am really grateful to all of you all for your enthusiastic participation in these classes. We have done just 3 sessions, but practically within these 3 sessions, the group has literally doubled, over 3 weeks. That really shows. I mean, we have not advertised it in any sort of way. Whatever has just happened has happened through the word of mouth, which is the most powerful advertising actually. If someone is really touched and inspired, and they bring in more people, that's the best way to really gain education. So we're very grateful to all of you all for that. Also, before I begin, I would like to tell you all that all of you all whoever can keep your cameras on, please do keep them on. Don't feel shy. This is a very important, closed, and a very sensitive group of people who are all practically like our family only. You don't have to feel any kind of threat, and you don't have to feel any kind of you don't have to think twice also. So whoever can should keep their cameras on. It simply helps me recognize you all, understand the amount you'll absorb. I am a very personal teacher, which means that I really like to know my students on a personal level. Really like to connect to my students on a personal level. Many of y'all already I have been connecting on a personal level, and many of y'all already know me pretty well by now. And the rest of y'all very soon will know me, and I'll know you all very soon. That's the purpose of me wanting to see y'all. Now, before we get into today's session, just a quick recap of what we discussed the last time. Just to tell you all, just before I ended last session, if you remember, I told you all that this session is going to be one of the most powerful sessions you will ever hear. So please do keep a paper and pen ready, and if you want to note down things, because there's a lot of things you might want to remember for the rest of your lives. And this is going to be very useful for you all in many aspects, including your corporate and personal life. So just to summarize what we spoke last time, the Mahabharata storyline was about Satyavati and Shantanu Maharaj getting married. Shantanu Maharaj was first married to Ganga, through whom he got Bhishma. And then he got married to Satyavati, through whom he got two sons. Both of them died. And before the second son could get any child through his wives, Ambalika and Ambika, the second son, Vichitravirya, dies. And now the throne of Hastinapur is empty. There's no king to sit on it. And there's no prospect of some other king coming in future also, because Bhishma has taken a vow never to marry. And Ambalika and Ambika they are not conceived, So the question is, what is going to happen to the throne of Hastinapur? That's when Satyavati reveals the story of her one son that was born before the marriage, and that was Vyasa. She talks about this particular son that literally no one knows about, and she invites Vyasa, and through Vyasa, she requests Vyasa to impregnate Ambika first. Now the thing is, Satyavati did tell the two wives, Ambika and Ambalika, that your brother-in-law will come, and through your brother-in-law, you can conceive a child. Now, they had no idea which brother-in-law Satyavati was talking about, because in their mind, Bhishma was the only brother-in-law. They had no idea that there was another person called Vyas existing, who was her son from before a marriage. And suddenly here, Ambika was told to be ready. She was in a room, and Ambika was anticipating Bhishma. Of course, in this particular case, there's no question of enjoyment, because Ambika was doing it as a sense of duty, Ambalika was doing it as a sense of duty, Satyavati herself was doing it as a sense of duty. And here, when she was trying to convince Bhishma and her son Vyasa, it was all out of the sense of duty. Now, Ambalika were mentally prepared to make a sacrifice. They know that the future of the kingdom depends on them, and they were ready to make the sacrifice, and they were ready to, have a child through Bhishma. Now, the thought about the future is something that helps people make a lot of sacrifices, right? Small children, they sacrifice so much to study. Why? It's not that they have fun studying, they hate studying, but they still do it because there is anticipation of the future. When the present peak, what we live for is waiting and anticipating a great future. But when the present is bleak, it's still fine. But sometimes what happens in the present can be horrifying. Ambika, as she was waiting in that room, gets the shock of her life when instead of Bhishma enters Vyas. And Ved Vyas, he is not someone that is externally very attractive looking. Ved Vyas was from top to bottom, filled with ghee, some kind of medicated ghee. So, see, Ved Vyas was following a system of invoking auspicious children. And it was a system which was a age-old tradition. So it was not like the process of enjoyment. He was doing it as a sacrifice, basically. So when Ved Vyas entered that room, he was not exactly beautiful to look at. There was ghee on his body all over, and his body was hard, toughened by rigors of tapasya, and his body was filled with, soil. So it is not exactly what she expected. Many times in life, things don't come the way we expect them to come. The Bhagavad Gita does not teach us to become optimists. Bhagavad Gita does not teach us to become pessimists also. The Bhagavad Gita teaches us to become realists. Optimism means everything, expecting only the best from life. Pessimism means only expecting the worst from life. Realism means accepting life the way it throws it at you. and dealing with it. Ambika, she just couldn't fathom what was happening. I know what Ambika did. She realized that she has to just go through this, and she closed her eyes tightly. And Vyasadev did whatever he needs to do, and then he comes out. And Vyasadev tells Satyavati she will have a child, but the child will be born blind because she shut her eyes so tightly. The child that will be born to her will be born blind. He will have the strength of 10,000 elephants, but he'll be born blind. This is the first way of dealing with problems in life. Through Ambika was born Dhritarashtra, who was powerful. He had the strength of 10,000 elephants, but he was blind. The first way to deal with problems in life, rather the first response to problems in life, is known as fright. People get scared, and when they get scared, they are not ready to face the realities of life. They close their eyes to the truths of life. Fright means not wanting to accept the truth and closing your eyes, turning a blind problem. A lot of people in this world, they are blind to the realities of this world. Just like there is a bird known as an ostrich. Ostrich has a very typical way of dealing with problems in life. When an ostrich is being attacked by a lion or some animal like that, the ostrich, it gets really scared. And out of great fear, the ostrich, when it doesn't know what to do, the last thing the ostrich digs a hole on the ground and buries its head inside the ground. Why does the ostrich do that? Because if it buries his head inside the ground, he can't see the lion. And if he can't see the lion doesn't exist for him. Simple, So the ostrich just digs a hole on the ground, buries his head inside that hole. Khatam. Problem khatam. What a way to deal with problems in life, isn't it? A lot of people do this. A lot of people, whenever they come across problems in life that they're really scared of, they bury their head into something that will help them forget the problems of life. Like in Ramayana, we hear this very amazing story of Hanumanji in Lanka, and Mother Sita was sitting under the tree on which Hanumanji was sitting. And these Rakshasis, the 700 Rakshasis that are protecting Sita, or rather troubling Sita, they were having a discussion. And one of the Rakshasis, Trijata, comes and tells a dream. And she tells a very complicated dream of Lanka is going to be destroyed by a monkey, going to be burnt in fire, Ravana is going to be killed. So many scary things Trijata tells all the Rakshasis. When the Rakshasis hear such a frightful dream that Trijata has, almost like a vision, you know what they all do? All of them drink a lot. The Ramayana describes it. They drink a lot and go to sleep. That's it. This is the best way to deal with problems according to Lanka's people. And I'm sure a lot of people in Bombay and other parts of the world also do that, isn't it? Very well educated from Lanka. So this is Lanka's formula of dealing with problems. Drink, go to sleep. Isn't that very similar to what ostriches do? Isn't that exactly what ostriches do? A lot of human beings are like ostriches. When they come across difficulties in life, problems in life, they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to solve it. They don't want to face the realities. Rather, they hide their head. They hide themselves in such a place. They bury themselves in such a place that they don't remember the problem. They can't even see the problem. And for them, if they can't see the problem doesn't exist. As simple as that. There are three greatest fears in this world. I don't know if you all know. Which are the three greatest fears in this world? Number one, the topmost fear in this world, number one, is public speaking. The fear of public speaking. Can you imagine? It is higher than the fear of death also. The people are more scared of speaking in public than dying. So number one is public speaking. Number two is flying. Flying in an airplane or whatever, any kind of flight. And number three is death. So what does it really mean? What is public speaking essentially? It's facing people. So a lot of people don't want to face others, don't want to face their problems, don't want to face their fears. Rather, they want to hide from the fears. They don't want to deal with it. What is fear? The word F-E-A-R. You know what is the definition of fear? The definition of fear is false evidence acceptable. That's what fear means. Fear really means that your mind is fooling you with a lot of things, basically. If you have to kill a lion, you have to face it. Even if you lose some blood in the process, that's the only chance to kill a lion. Lion represents all the fears you have in life. Don't die in installments. People love to die in installments. What do you mean by die in installments? Die a little today, die a little tomorrow, die a little day after tomorrow. By little they die, basically. That's what fear does to you. It kills you little by little. If you avoid fear, it grows. If you face fear, it goes. You should learn to go ahead in spite of fear. Repeatedly face what you fear, and your fear will be vanquished. That which you do not face controls you. And that which controls you causes fear in you. A lot of people in this world, they just don't want to face the realities because fear is something that people want to avoid. I love this one story from the Mahabharata that I'd like to share with you all. It's not exactly in the Mahabharata of Vyas, but it's a folk tale connected to the Mahabharata. But it's a beautiful one. One time, Krishna and Balaram, they were on their way back from, and they were going to Dwarka actually. And while they were on their way to Dwarka, they came across a huge forest. And it was late in the evening. They decided to halt in the forest and then go the next day morning. So they decided to take turns guarding each other. So, first Krishna went to sleep. And then Balaram was guarding him, walking up and down. And as Balaram was guarding, a huge came out from nowhere and came out and lunged at Balaram. Balaram really got scared. And the demon shouted out, Balaram panicked. And interestingly, Balaram becomes a little smaller in size and the demon becomes a little bigger. And now the demon becomes even more confident, goes to Balaram and scares him, shouts very badly one more time. Balaram gets even more scared. He becomes even more smaller and the demon becomes even more bigger. And the demon, the third time, puts his full force and shouts at Balaram. And Balaram becomes even smaller and he shouts out, Krishna! He shouts and he faints. And Krishna hears Balaram's call and he just gets up. He thinks it is his turn to guard. He begins to just guard. He doesn't even see the demon actually. He's just walking around, guarding Balaram. Then the demon comes out to scare Krishna. And the demon shouts out loudly. Krishna looks at the demon and he asks him, what do you want? The demon is confused suddenly, Never expected Krishna to ask him a question like that. And to the shock of the demon becomes a little smaller and Krishna becomes bigger. And now the demon is bewildered. He puts his full energy and shouts out loudly to scare Krishna. Krishna looks at him and asks him, what do you want? And this demon, interestingly, becomes even smaller and Krishna becomes even bigger. And the demon, the third time, the demon puts his full energy and shouts out loudly. And Krishna asks him, what do you want? And suddenly this demon becomes so small, tiny. Krishna picks him up, ties his dhoti and goes to sleep. The next day morning, Krishna and Balaram are going towards Dwarka and Balaram tells him, Krishna, do you know what happened yesterday night? Balaram asked him what happened. So Krishna asked him what happened. So Balaram says, one huge demon was scaring me so much. I was so scared. Now Krishna removes the demon from his dhoti and shows him, is it this fellow? Balaram is shocked. He said, how did this guy become so small? Yesterday he was so huge. And through the mouth of Krishna, Vyasa is an amazing lesson for life. He says that every time you come across any demon in your life, learn to face it. All the problems that come in your life are like demons. A lot of people, when they come across problems, they get scared of the problems and they don't want to face it. They run away from it. They close their eyes. They don't want to face the problem. And when you do not face the problem becomes bigger, appears bigger than you. And you appear smaller in front of the problem. But when you face the problem, you appear bigger than the problem. And the problem appears smaller in front of you. So every time you come across a problem, you have to face it and ask the problem, what do you want? So as soon as Krishna asked the demon, what do you want? The demon became smaller and he became bigger. And that's what we need to learn to do in our lives. So every time we learn to face what we fear, actually, fear is not a weakness. Fear is a message. Use your fear as a guide to help you understand and prepare for a challenge, and not as an excuse to abandon it. You destroy confidence by giving in to fear, and you destroy fear by giving in to confidence. Courage is not the absence of fear, but courage is the ability to go ahead in spite of fear. I mean, when you're scared of something, it's not that a courageous person has no fear at all. A courageous person has fear, but he knows to go ahead in spite of fear. And that's what makes a person courageous. It's not that a courageous person has no fear at all. Fear has to be there in all of us. There has to be an element of fear in all of us. That element of fear actually makes us to be cautious of what we do. Look at here, Ambika, when Vyasa comes, she can't handle it, and she's scared, she's fearful, and the way she deals with that fear is by closing her eyes. And this is the first response to life. Now Satyavati realizes that Ambika has had a balance. She's had a blind son now. So Satyavati, now she calls Vyasa, and she tells Vyasa, now please, I would request you to go to Ambalika, the second wife of Vichitravirya. So Vyasa goes to Ambalika. Now Ambalika already knows the problem. Ambika's experience is already there. Ambika has already given her a solid description of what to expect. Now Ambalika is not expecting Bhishma, obviously, and Ambalika already knows what is going to come. Ambika has prepared her to a great extent. So when Vyasadev goes to Ambalika, she knows one thing for sure. Don't close your eyes. Kuch bhi karo, aankh band mat karo, bas. So she knows very well what she should not do. But the problem is she doesn't know what she should do. It's one thing to know what you should not do, but it's a totally different thing to know what you should do, right? So Ambalika was very clearly prepared for the don'ts. So she kept her eyes open, like wide open eyes, But she didn't know how to deal with the fear that she had, So Ambalika comes in. So Vyasadev comes in. And when Vyasa comes in, Ambalika turns pale. Somebody turns pale, It happens, right? When you see a ghost, what do? You just turn pale. So she was like so scared. So she just turned pale. So Vyasadev, comes out of the room eventually. And he tells Satyavati, Ambalika didn't close her eyes. but she turned pale. So the son that will be born through her will also be pale. Now, when the Mahabharata talks about pale, what does it really mean? It really means that the child that will be born weak, basically. Will be born very weak. So the first son, blind, but 10,000 elephants strength. Second son has eyes, perfectly fine, but weak. Now, so Pandu is born through Ambika. Many times we know what is coming, but if we haven't accepted it, we still keep fighting it rather than accepting the reality. It becomes very, very difficult. This is the second way we respond to problems in life. We fight. So the first way is fright. The second way is fight. So what is the meaning of fight? Pale means stressed out. A lot of us, when we come across problems in life, this is typically how we deal with it. We get frustrated and we get highly stressed out. So externally, you might seem to be nice, perfectly fine, sometimes smiling also, but inside, you're scared. Inside, you're struggling. Somehow, you're just pulling on in life. Don't want to live with it, but have to live with it. Not satisfied, basically. A lot of people live life like this. When they come across problems, they don't know how to deal with it. They don't have the ability to deal with it. They just turn pale, which essentially means they become frustrated dealing with the problem. They don't have anyone to help them deal with the problem. They're not willing to go to anybody to ask how to deal with the problem. They're just trying to deal with it at their own level. And it makes them frustrated. It makes them not satisfied. It makes them struggle. It's just simply pulling on in life. Many a time we know what is coming, but if you have not accepted it, it becomes difficult. Human predicament is that we overestimate our problems and underestimate our ability to deal with them. So we need to change our attitude towards challenges in life. Life's challenges are not there to stifle you. In fact, they serve you and help you discover who you are. Challenges actually oblige you to think and grow. One time, a man entered a village and he met a small in that village. And he asked the small child a simple question. But the child gave a very profound answer. This man asked the child, has any great man or woman been born in your village? The child looked at the man and he said, no, no, no. In our village, only children are born. Isn't it amazing? Every great man or woman is born a child only, right? What you do determines your greatness. What you do determines whether you will that child or you will become some great man or woman in the world. And that's really what we need to understand when we come across difficulties and frustrations and these situations in our lives. The more you dwell on the negativities, all great men were ordinary men who were forced by circumstances to meet great challenges. And that makes you great. Accept the unchangeable so that you can happily get along. Change the changeable so that you can happily progress. And if not, remove yourself from the unacceptable so that you can happily get away. Here we find Ambalika. She didn't close her eyes. She kept her eyes open, but she was scared. This is the second way we deal with problems in life. We fight it on an internal level. So one is fright on an external level. We are scared on an external level. So second is we are dealt with it on an external level, but still on an internal level, we're fighting it hard, right? The third is a very interesting situation that happens. Now, Satyavati, realizes that both these guys can't be kings. Dhritarashtra can't be king, obviously, blind, can't be a king, though powerful. And then he says, Pandu can't be the king, not the best, at least, because he's not a healthy person, not very strong, frail person. So Satyavati, she asks Vyasdev to again go to Ambika. Third time. Now by this time, Ambika and Ambalika, both of them have had one experience, and Satyavati is pushing Ambika to have another child. Ambika is like, first time her reaction already, right? She was scared. Now Ambika does something even more crazier. You know what she does? She knows Vyas is coming, and she doesn't want to deal with it. So instead of being in that room, she sends her maid servant in that room, and she runs away. This is the third way we deal with problems in life. Flight. We run away. भाग जाओ. Milka Singh बन जाते हैं सब लोग. Everybody just runs away from problems. This is the third way we deal with problems in life. Just run away. What is a divorce? Divorce is simply running away from a problem. So many students quit their education, not able to handle exams. It's so difficult nowadays to just hang on and not give up. Giving up is just so easy. Anytime there is a little struggle, give up. Your phone doesn't work a little bit, give it up. Your computer doesn't work a little bit, give it up. In the olden times, people just don't give up, right? People wouldn't give up. If your radio doesn't work, they'll go to repair and make it like, if chappal stops functioning, something goes wrong, you go and repair that chappal also, So practically for everything in the past, if you remember, we wouldn't give up on it. But today, the use and throw of world, it's so easy to give up. It's so easy to just throw it away and walk away, saying that, chalo, this. When you don't face it, it's called escapism. A lot of people like to escape from problems in life, not take responsibility for the problems in life. The weak in a subject, for instance, just give it up. Don't even try. Nowadays, kids, they have so much of difficulty dealing with mathematics. Why? Just don't want to focus. Just don't want to apply their mind on it. Just don't have the patience to sit there. And that's the thing that is actually troubling us the most. The idea of just giving up on everything. The question that you would ask yourself is, are you giving your best? It doesn't matter what you have. What really matters is what you do with what you have. I can make a lack list in life. What is a list? Lack list is a list of things I lack. Making a lack list is not going to take me anywhere. Just to give you some examples. Beethoven, he was deaf, but he composed the best music in the world, which he himself couldn't hear. Einstein was a hunchback, but he redefined science. John Milton was blind, but he wrote Paradise Lost, greatest poetry about nature. If you look at almost all the people that have achieved greatness, they've had some defect. And in spite of having that defect, they didn't focus on the defect. They had some lack, But in spite of having that lack, they didn't focus on that lack. And because they didn't focus on that lack, they could come out and they could deal with with the difficulties in life. By the time a child reaches 14, 1-4, a child has heard minimum 1,48,000 times, you can't do it. If you hear so many times, you can't, you end up believing you can't, isn't it? There is a very interesting scientific exploration that was done once on a bumblebee. I'm sure all of you have seen bumblebees, right? They're just fat black bees, basically. So the scientists, they took a bumblebee and they did research on it. And one of the researches they did was on the aerodynamic movements of the bumblebee and the wings of the bumblebee. So after they studied the wings of the bumblebee, they calculated, according to the size, weight, and shape of the bumblebee, the wings are too thin for the bumblebee to fly. So according to the scientific calculation, the conclusion was bumblebee should not fly. Thank God the scientists had no way to communicate this to the bumblebee. Imagine if somehow scientists managed to communicate this to the bumblebee, that will be sitting somewhere in one corner, not flying only. The language of life is yes, I can. The language of life is a positive language. Human beings, we speak a very negative language. And therefore, unless and until you speak the language of life, which is you can do it. This world is a result of a few human beings who have maximized their potential to achieve something. And the rest of us are just benefiting from it. So if you look at the limitations of what a human being can do, and you just focus on the limitations all the time, then you won't be able to do anything. Life has three ways of giving answers. If you throw any questions at life, life has three ways of giving answers. One is yes, it gives you what you want. Second is no, it gives you something better. And third is wait. When life tells you wait, it gives you the best. There are patience to wait. So for a lot of people who don't have the patience to wait, they run away. And that's what Ambika did. She ran away. And this time when Vyasdev went in, he didn't find Ambika, he didn't find Ambalika. Instead, he found a maid servant there. And this maid servant was very submissive, very humble. She understood the greatness of Vyasa. She understood the magnitude of what an amazing person Vyas was. She understood that this is not an ordinary human being. She understood that this person is the literary incarnation of God himself. She didn't go by the externals. She was not interested in the externals of Vyas. She understood this man is not a person, very divine. And if by somehow I have been chosen for this, might as well as my worship. So this maid servant actually worshipped Vyasdev. She respected him so much. She treated him with so much love and respect. Vyasdev was really touched because the first two times that he went, Ambika and Ambalika, he had a bad experience himself. I mean, we are all talking about Ambika's experience and Ambalika's experience. What about Vyasa's experience himself? So, Ambika just closed her eyes. Imagine how bad Vyasdev must have felt. Is he so disgusting? And, was he so, unimportant like that? And Ambalika, she just turned pale. She was so scared. What has he done wrong? But this lady, the maidservant, she understood who Vyas is. And she decided to pay respects to Vyas. And, she never ran away. She didn't get scared. But she looked at it from a very, very, devotional, faithful, and a heartfelt way. This time, through this maid servant, Vyas conceived Vidura. So then when Vyasdev came out, he told Satyavati, this child is going to be born most intelligent. He will actually save Hastinapur from a lot of trouble. But since he's born through a maid servant, he can't sit on the throne. Now imagine what an equation, Hastinapur has reached. The most qualified person can't sit on the throne. Unfortunately, the most powerful person can't sit on the throne, and the person who is not blind but at the same time qualified to sit on the throne, too weak to sit on the throne. That's exactly how life is. So the fourth way of dealing with life. So we spoke about three ways of dealing with problems in life, responding to problems and situations of life. The first way is fight. The second, the first way is fright. The second way is fight. The third way is flight. So these are three ways in which all of us have been dealing with problems in life. Some problems we are scared of. We don't even face them. Close our eyes. There are some problems we face them, but we're so scared inside that we're not able to face them properly. And there are some problems we don't even want to face. We don't even see. We run away from them. And these are typical ways of dealing with problems in life. But there is another way to deal with problems in life. And that's what is interesting. Usually, most people fall in two categories. The first category is like a soda can. And the second category is like a Bisleri bottle. Soda can people are very simple people. You shake them up. Shake a soda can very, very hard. When you open it, what happens? Everything inside comes out. Big blast. Everything inside comes out. So these are typically, the first category of people who are shaken up by life. If somebody comes and shakes you up, if your boss comes and fires you, if your wife or husband comes and tells some really bad things about you, the maid servant passes a comment on you, your children don't listen to you. I mean, anytime life shakes you up, what happens? Everything inside comes out. And that's exactly what most people do. You see it on the street all the time. One fellow, slight nick, you hit a car a little bit, just one slight nick, and then the fellow comes out. You can make out soda can has come out, and then just blasts on all kinds of bad words. Every bad word he knows from his childhood till today, he will blast at one go. That's a soda can. That's typically how people respond to problems in life. Whatever is inside them comes out. The second way is the Bisleri bottle. You've seen a Bisleri bottle. If you shake a Bisleri bottle up, and then you open the cover, what comes out? Nothing. That's the second way of dealing with problems in life. When life shakes you up, when someone shakes you up, learn to respond. Learn to not be so affected, so disturbed, so bewildered, so shaken up. And this is the maid servant's way of dealing with problems in life. Face it with a smile. And this is exactly what the maid servant did. She was thrown into a problem that she didn't create the problem. She was not responsible for the problem. And she didn't have a choice when she faced the problem. But because she decided, anyway, I have to face the problem, anyway, I have to deal with it, might as well deal with it nicely. Might as well see the positive direction of how to look at this problem. And that really helped her deal with it in the right way. A lot of people in this world do not understand how important it is that we learn to deal with problems in the right way. There are 5 golden sutras of how to make relationships work. And these 5 golden sutras that I'm going to tell you all, 5 simple sentences, magical. And these 5 sentences will help you deal with every situation you have in your relationships and in the best possible way. And simple things, but it's very profound things. First, appreciate the past. encourage the potential, respect the differences, tolerate the unchangeable, and forgive the mistakes. I'll repeat. Appreciate the past, encourage the potential, respect the differences, tolerate the unchangeable, and forgive the mistakes. A lot of us, when we come across situations in life where someone does a mistake, somebody says something they shouldn't have told, somebody yells at you, somebody does something that is wrong. Usually, we get into an attacking mode and we try to pull down that person. Or we get so scared and we are so petrified inside that we are not able to accept that person anymore. Or we run away from that person. So either we close our eyes. Closing eyes essentially means that, I just stop looking at the realities of life. I just turn my eyes and I turn it somewhere else. Or I'm scared what is going to happen in the future. Or I run away from facing the situations of life. But there's this fourth way of how to respond, which is what this lady did. Facing life with a smile. Unfortunately, not everything we do, we have full control over. Unfortunately, we don't have control over how others will react or how others will behave. But we do have control over how we will behave. We don't have control over life situations, but whether we can face those situations with a smile is very much in our control. Every time life puts you in difficult situations and tough situations, learn to face it with a smile. Learn to see that little positive, silver lining across the cloud. I'm going to tell you all something amazing from the Ramayana. Lord Ram, when he was told by Mother Kaikeyi that he has to leave to the forest for 14 years. Imagine you suddenly get this news that you are kicked out of your own house and you're no more a king, but you're a beggar. And you have to live in the forest for 14 years. Not an easy thing to handle. When Kaikeyi told him this, that Bharat is going to be the king instead, and you have to go to the forest for 14 years, Ram had a smile on his face. Kaikeyi was not able to understand why he's smiling. I know what Ram tells her. Ram tells her, my dear mother, I've been waiting for such an opportunity. I always wanted to go to the forest and spend time learning from the sages. So he said, these 14 years are not 14 years of exile for me. They're 14 years of learning for me. And Ram was just so, he walked out happily with a smile on his face. I'm sure you have seen eagles, right? But have you seen ever a fight between eagles and crows? It keeps happening once in a while. But it's a very interesting fight. If you observe how eagles behave, it's a profound learning. When crows attack eagles, the eagles are huge. If you've seen the size of the eagles, the power of their beaks and the claws, they're so sharp and so powerful. And just the power that they have is immense. Now imagine these crows. These thin, small guys attacking an eagle. What guts they have. So these 5-6 crows come together and attack an eagle. And the eagle, you know what it does? The eagle doesn't fight with the crows. The eagle just flies higher. And the eagle flies so high that these crows can never reach him only. You will never ever find an eagle attacking the crows. It's below his dignity to attack the crows. They're too small for him. They're too small for him to fight with. So that's exactly how Lord Ram dealt with the problems. And that's exactly how we should deal with the problems. That's exactly how this maid servant dealt with her problems in life. Every time you come across a problem in life that you are not sure how to handle, learn to smile and learn to look at the problem from a higher perspective. The moment you look at the problem from a higher perspective, the problem looks different. A lot of people just jump into the problem, try to solve the muck and the mess and the negativity involved. That's not the way to deal with problems in life. Every time you come across a problem, Learn to look at it from a higher perspective. From a higher perspective, the problem looks different. And the problem is actually different. Unfortunately, because we are so much meddled into the problem, we just get so messy that we can't see a higher perspective. And that's why we can't face the realities, the problems in life with a smile on our face. And therefore, it is so very important to learn to deal with problems with dignity. It is so very important to learn to respond to problems by looking at a small element of higher power involved in it. This maid servant, she saw something in Vyasdev that Ambika and Ambalika didn't see. What is it that she saw that Ambika and Ambalika didn't see? She saw the divine element in Vyasdev. Ambika and Ambalika were looking at the externals. Dirty looking person, ugly looking person, hardened sage, filled with ghee and all kinds of smelly substances. They were looking at the external of Vyasdev. But this lady, this maid servant, she saw something that the other two didn't. She saw within that external is an element of divinity. All your problems will come packaged. Do not expect your problems to come straightforward. No problem ever comes announcing, saying, "Hi, I'm a problem. Here I am." No. The problem will never announce itself, and it will never say what actually it is. For a lot of people, when they see problems, they only see problems. But great people, when they see a problem, they see along with the problem, they see an opportunity. And seeing that divine element is so very important for us to be able to deal with any problem in the right way. One time, a man was on his deathbed. And just when he was about to die, he called his lawyer and he made a will. And he died. After he died, the lawyers announced his will. And the will was very strange. The will said 1/4 of his property will go to his sons. 1/5 of his property will go to his relatives. And half his property will go to his sons, and 1/4 of his property will go to his relatives, and 1/5 of his property will go to the local trust. That's what he told, and he died. So the lawyers, when they found out what his property was, they realized his property was only 19 horses. Now they were thinking, how do you divide 19 horses into 3 parts? So they called a lot of logicians and mathematicians, very very brainy people. So all of them calculated, and so much they put their brains into it, and finally they concluded that until and unless we cut 1 or 2 horses, you can't divide properly. So they actually recommended cutting 1 or 2 horses. So as they were discussing this, one wise man, he happened to come by, saw this commotion, and he came on his horse, and he saw that all of them were discussing so intensely. He got off this horse and he went and he asked him, "Can I help you all?" So he said, "No, very complicated problem. You stay away. Even the most intelligent people of the village are trying to solve it." He said, "Just tell me what the problem is." And they told him. He said, "Very simple. I can solve it." He added his horse to those 19 horses, and now it became 20 horses. He said, "Now divide." They divided into half. 10 horses they gave it to the sons, and he said, "Now again divide 1/4. 4 horses they gave it to the relatives, and then he took back his horse, and remaining 5 horses they gave it to the trust." Problem solved. They were amazed. They said, "What? How did you solve such a complicated problem so simply? I mean, what is this? What did you use? What logic did you use?" This man said, very simple. He said, whenever you come across a problem in life that logic and reasoning cannot solve, that is the time that you bring the 20th horse in, which is God. You bring the 20th horse in, and then you will find that your problems get solved so magically. And that's exactly what we need to do in our lives. We will come across problems that we may not have an answer to. We will come across problems that seem so complicated and so difficult. And this is the time that we need to simply bring in the 20th horse, God. The maid servant, that's what she did. She brought the 20th horse in. So she saw in Vyasdev, which nobody else saw. She saw the divine element in Vyasdev. She saw that this person is a literary incarnation of the Lord. And that helped her deal with the problem with so much more dignity and so much more peace. With this, we come to the end of today's session. Anybody has any questions, comments, please. So after this, just before we take on questions, I want to tell you all two things. The next session probably may be the last session in the storyline. Most probably, if I manage to finish the next time the storyline, I will get into a very different mode of teaching, which is going to be character analysis. We will be picking up 5 of the most important characters of the Mahabharata and analyzing each of them deeply. So each session will be one character. That's how we'll be proceeding, or maybe even 2 sessions per character, depending on how fast or slow I go. So typically that's what we'll be doing for the next few weeks. But anyway, next week the storyline still continues. The second thing I wanted to tell you all before I take on questions is something very exciting, very important, and something that I'm really excited about. Next month, starting from 20th of October, is the beginning of Kartik Mas. Kartik is considered to be the most auspicious month of the year. Very, very auspicious. And it is said that anything that is done in the month of Kartik, any spiritual practices that is done in the month of Kartik, gives you 1,000,000 times more results than what is done in regular times. So I would highly recommend you all to take your spiritual lives very seriously in the month of Kartik. Of course, you should take it every day seriously, but especially in the month of Kartik, definitely yes. And to facilitate this and to help you all really absorb more in the path of Krishna consciousness and your spiritual practices, I'm organizing a 3-day retreat in Govardhan Eco Village, about 2 hours away from Mumbai. For those who are from other parts of the world, you can come in your heart to attend the retreat. And for those who are from Mumbai and Pune area, you can definitely plan to take this trip with us. November 12, 13, 14. These are 3 days that we are planning this trip to Govardhan Eco Village. It's a beautiful place, extremely beautiful place. We have actually recreated Vrindavan there. And it's almost like a replica of the most important temples of Vrindavan. And the atmosphere is exactly like Vrindavan. Lush green land, 65 acres of land there. And we almost have 80 cows. And we have a replica of Yamuna River. And the water brought from the original Yamuna River here, actually. So it's an amazing place, actually. So I would highly, highly recommend you all to think about it. And if you're really interested to know details about it, you can contact our coordinators. You can contact anybody who has brought you to the classes. You can contact them. You can contact Preeti Mataji, Nagesh Prabhu, Vishal Prabhu, Shileka Mataji, and so many others who have added people to this group. Please feel free to connect, and we will tell you all the details. 12th, 13th, 14th of November. That is the last 3 days, last weekend of Kartik month. We are planning this retreat. And I can tell you that this retreat will be a life-changing retreat for all of you all. Whoever attends this retreat, you will not go back the same person. Complete transformation from a spiritual perspective, and leave a very deep impact in your lives. And even for those who want to come from other places of India to join the retreat, you're most welcome. We can make all the arrangements for you all. So this is something I wanted to tell you all. And of course, as we get closer to the month of Kartik, I will also tell you all specifically what you can do on a daily basis to make best of the month of Kartik, and to take the best advantage of the whole month of Kartik. The month of Kartik represents Srimati Radharani. It's Radha personified. So, and anything that is done in the month of Kartik makes Krishna very happy. That's the whole secret. I'll stop now. Any questions, comments, discussions, please.